Woo! What's going on, guys? Orm Swarm coming at you guys today with another video. And today's video, going to be talking about what Detroit Lions been up to. We got training camp just around the corner. They're trying to bolster some of that roster. They made a trade. Detroit Lions made a trade, and they traded for wide receiver DENZEL MIMS, who played for the New York Jets. Now, Brad Holmes, I think it's a sneaky, low-key move on a wide receiver that has some upside. You know what I mean? I think, and CBS kind of said this right, it's a low-risk move with a medium reward. And I fully agree with that statement from CBS. Stole that from you guys, CBS. But I'm going to give credit to where credit's due, and I kind of think that that's a true statement. Now, the Detroit Lions don't give up a lot. They give up, I got it written down here. The Detroit Lions give up a 6th-round pick, conditional, and we obviously get DENZEL MIMS, and we get a 7th-round pick, conditional, in 2025. So, picks that won't materialize for another couple of years. Now, when you say conditional, this means obviously that if MIMS makes the Detroit Lions roster, then we lose that 6th, and we get that 7th back in a couple of years. But if he doesn't make the roster for the Detroit Lions, everything goes back to normal. We keep the 6th. The Jets keep that 7th, and MIMS becomes a free agent apparently. So he won't go back to New York, but he'll become a free agent, and he can do as he pleases. He can go to another team, pick him up. So, and the Jets were planning on waiving or releasing DENZEL MIMS, but there were some late inquiries about him from the New England Patriots and apparently the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. But it just never happened. It just never happened, and the Jets ended up trading him to the Detroit Lions. The Jets did that, and the Lions swooped in. But there was rumors that, he was just getting released because, things weren't really going the Jets' way, and they just weren't getting a lot of teams. A couple teams interested, but nothing really happened. And Brad Holmes didn't want to take no chances and possibly not acquire him through the waiver wire. So we're getting a guy, okay, a 6'3", let's see what it is, 207-pound, 25-year-old kid, okay, that did nothing in New York, but his college stats were very, very good. 4 years at Baylor, he was a Baylor Bear, 186 catches, 2,925 yards, at a 15.7 yards per catch, and 28 touchdowns. His last 3 years, he was just finding the end zone. He just had a really nice collegiate career, and ended up getting picked in the 2nd round by the New York Jets, 59th overall in 2020. Then his NFL stats, just god awful, just terrible. 42 catches, 676 yards, 16.1 yards per catch. So he is a deep threat guy. That's a little bit impressive there, but it only had a 45.7% catch rate. And he had something like 90-something targets, 92, 93 targets and 42 catches, something 95 targets. So that's why his catch rate his percentage is low there. And, he had quarterbacks like Joe Flacco, Mike White, and just recently Zach Wilson for the year and a half, whatever it was. Zach Wilson's having problems over there as well. So, the thing with MIMS is he's a big body. He's a real big body at 6'3", 207 pounds. And he can fly 4.38 40. Decent route runner, but he is a stretch to field type of guy. Now, this is a move that I'm not going to jump through the roof for, and I'm not going to get upset about it. We're possibly losing maybe a 6th-round pick, and we're going to acquire a 7th rounder in a couple of years anyway. So this is a low risk, medium reward move, personally for me. He just couldn't get it going in New York for whatever reason. You can blame the quarterbacks, Flacco, White, Wilson. You can blame all kinds of people. Scheme, offensive coordinator in New York, bad bad offenses in New York the last couple of years. That's why you see Aaron Rodgers is over there right now trying to right that ship. So it's just, and obviously Mims has to take some responsibility for that too, because he just has not had a good career to start his early 3-year career as a New York Jet. Now he's had some injury history as well. He had some thigh and hamstring strain, thigh hamstring strain grade 2. He was an IR 6 games in 2020. That was his rookie season, I believe it was. He's missed 20 games overall with hand surgeries. He's had concussion, hip strains. He's had another hand finger sprain. So the guy's no stranger to the injury list. And, and we're taking a flyer on the guy, and we're not giving up a lot. But he's a big body. And if you go look at our roster with the wide receivers, you guys know who the 1 through pretty much 4 is. It's Amon-Ra St. Brown is the number 1 guy. Josh Reynolds, Marvin Jones, that number 3 maybe. Might even see Khalif Raymond take that number 3. But you're going to see Amon-Ra. You're going to see Josh Reynolds. You're going to see Marvin Jones. And you're going to see Khalif Raymond as that 1 through 4. And then the 5 kind of gets a little bit, big. It gets a little bit iffy. We don't really know what's going to happen there. Trinity Benson's probably going to go bye-bye now. That was a mistake by Brad Holmes. You got guys like Chase Cotto over there in Oregon. He's a UDFA, a rookie. And then you got guys like Tom Kennedy, more slot guy though. And then you got Jameson Williams, who's on a 6-game suspension. And I think this is one of the reasons why this move was made as well too. And then you got guys like Antoine Green, a guy that we drafted in the 7th round as a rookie. He's really green, not trying to make a pun there, but he was pretty much just a deep threat as well too. He's almost I'm not going to say a clone of Denzel Mims, but they're very similar in size. Green's a little bit smaller, Mims being a little bit of the bigger guy. Probably a little bit quicker too as well, but they're kind of the same. Marvin Jones is kind of the same guy too as well, just not as fast. But MJ's up there at 33 years old. That's old in NFL standards. So this move kind of makes sense because we've talked about it on podcasts. We've seen it in videos. I've talked about it. A lot of guys that I've been associated with have talked about it. I've seen articles about it. John Macaron and his guys, he pretty much predicted this. He said this. There was a few Lions journalists that actually came out and said that the Lions were probably going to make a move at wide receiver coming up, and they did. The Lions made a move because it's not a weak group, but I think the depth isn't there. Like I talked about, 1 through 4, we kind of know what's going on there. With the St. Browns and the Reynolds and the Jones and then the Raymond, 1 through 4, good there. Then we didn't really know what's going to happen with that number 5 spot. Is it going to be Green, the rookie? Is it going to be Maurice Alexander, who's really just a special teams guy? Dylan Drummond, another rookie UDFA. So it wasn't really nothing in stone there. I think this, like Trinity Benson as well, Chase Cotto, probably, those type of guys might not even make the team, but it was just kind of up in the air what they're going to do with that number 5, that WR5, wide receiver 5. So I think Mims kind of like solidifies it, even though he's nothing to write home about. I'm not even saying that this is a great pickup, but it could be a low-key, sneaky move by Brad Holmes. And it could be a guy that could produce in a good offense. He's got a legitimate quarterback. Even though I ride Jared Goff to death, he is legitimate over guys like Flacco and Wilson and Mike White. He just is. And it's a better offense all around, better O-line, just a better, I'm not even going to say team because I think they're a very similar team, kind of both going in that same path, with the Jets being that top 5 defense. We got the top 5 offense. And then, they got that offense with some players there, but just haven't quite clicked. We got a defense with some players there, starting to click a little bit lately. And I think we're kind of going on that same trajectory as the New York Jets. And they're going the same as us, just a little bit reverse role with the offenses and defenses. So So I'm not going to say that we're the better team, even though we beat them last year, but that was a very, very defensive game. Not a lot of scoring, and we scored that late touchdown to Brock Wright. So kind of going off right there, but you guys kind of get what I'm saying. So this is a move the Detroit Lions made that I think a lot of people thought was going to happen, and it did happen. I was hoping, I remember coming out and saying that I kind of hoped the Lions make a move for a wide receiver going into training camp, and they did. I didn't think it was going to be a Denzel Mims trade, but I was hoping they would bring in another body, and this could be a guy that could get some playing time. Now, the worst that this guy could do is obviously get hurt and not produce at all, too. But the best he could do, man, he can maybe push a guy like Marvin Jones Jr. a little bit in training camp. And I'm not saying Mims is better than Jones, because he's not. But the age difference is quite a bit. There's what, 27, 28, 29, 31, like 7 years, 7, 8 years, or 6, 7 years age difference right there. So Mims could maybe push him. I think Khalif Raymond solidifies himself in that either in that number 4 or number 3 role as well too. But Mims is going to get in there, and I think he's going to make the team. I actually do. I think he's better than Green at the moment. I think he's better than Maurice Alexander. He's better than Dylan Drummond. Even though he hasn't done squat in 3 years in the NFL, those guys really haven't either. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Green and Drummond are absolute rookies. And Alexander is kind of that guy that can stretch the field as well too, but he's a better special teamer. So, we made a trade. Detroit Lions made a trade. Brad Holmes always doing work. We don't know what he's going to do next. Are they going to make another splash? And his contract too. Like, I'm kind of going off here too. His contract's getting paid $1.38 million or something like that from the Jets, and I'm pretty sure he's going to make the same thing as the Detroit Lions. I don't know if they're going to tinker with that contract with that last year, but he's in a contract year as well too. Now, again, just because he's in a contract year doesn't necessarily mean he's going to produce out of his mind, but he should be a little bit hungry. He should be a little bit hungry, and maybe he's coming out to prove something. Maybe he beats a guy out or two that we don't think is going to happen. That's why I'm just kind of like throwing it out there that maybe he pushes Jones, just because of Jones' age. It's really the only thing, the only reason why I would say this, because I think Jones is the better wide receiver by far. But the age difference is there, and maybe he could push him. Maybe he could. I don't really know. It's a to be determined. Don't really know, a TBD right there. So anything could happen there. But Mims, you're number 5 wide receiver, I think, going into the season. Training camp's going to be a little bit. Keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on it. See where his reps are, to see who he's behind. My first initial thoughts, he's going to be behind guys like Khalif Raymond right away. And, they're not, it's going to be tough for him to get in there. He's going to have to learn the playbook, obviously. He's going to have to learn the playbook. And let's see if he can push some guys. If he can push Khalif, he can push Marvin Jones. Could it happen? It's a long shot, but maybe it could. I'm not predicting anything like that, but I do predict that he is going to make this roster. You can throw guys like Antoine Green and possibly Dylan Drummond on the practice squad, or they get cut altogether. I still do like Antoine Green though. I really do. I actually do like him. And then when Jameson Williams comes back, the Lions have some thinking to do. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? One guy's got to get out of there unless they carry 6 wide receivers, which could happen, which could really happen. And but this could be just a quick little Band-Aid as of right now. A guy that can stretch the field. Big body, red zone guy. He hasn't had a touchdown in 3 years as a New York Jet, which is absolutely insane. And maybe we can get him his first touchdown this year as a Detroit Lion. But, I think it betters the room a little bit going into the season. Even though, there's some guys in there that could push him too as well. But I think it's a little bit of a better room now. And change of scenery is always good. Change of scenery is always good. Not always good, but it could be good for the Detroit Lions, and it could be good for Mims here. Apparently, he had some fallout with Robert Saleh last year. They got into it. He has to be traded. Just never happened. But Saleh had nothing but good things to say about him as he's walking out the building. So Saleh, being the professional that he is, not throwing any shade on him, and just wishing him all the luck in the world, saying that we got a big, long, tough kid that can that hopefully that it can prove why he was drafted so high. He just never worked out in New York, man. It just never did. And I think there's a lot of reasons for it, and Mims has got to take some responsibility for that as well too. But that's it, guys. Talking about it way too long. Obviously, just had to kind of happen. Alan Lazard or Randall Cobb going to New York too, kind of sealed his fate, and the Jets were looking to move him. So it happened, and we got it, and it's a low risk move. Low risk move for the Lions. Hopefully it pans out. Maybe he can get a few yards, move the chains for us this year, make some big gains. So that's it, guys. Denzel Mims, Detroit Lion, coming to the training camp, which is coming up very, very soon, next week, I believe. And go Lions, one pride, man. So thanks a lot, guys, for coming in the video and watching. And I really appreciate it. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the bottom right. Don't forget the notification bell, and to get all my videos. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thanks a lot, guys. Go Lions, one pride. Boom. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.